All right. Hey, good morning, folks. We are going to continue working on artwork for the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration supplement that we'll be publishing. Potentially as soon as next week. We still have some page work to assemble, so we're going to get after it here. Give me a second here to check my signal. I'll go through my intro spiel, and then we'll get to work. So, mic check, mic check. 1, 2, 3. And we'll get to work. So, mic check, mic. Yeah, sounds like it's working just fine. Excellent. Give me a second here to punch a bunch of buttons on the internets, and while I do that, allow me to distract you with my intro. So, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them and publish them online, and I have been focusing attention on Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, specifically Spelljammer. When Spelljammer was released in August 2022 as the newest 5e setting from Wizards of the Coast, there was honestly a lot of expectation around 5e mechanics for space and ship combat, as well as exploration. And it's obvious the design principle, the philosophy behind 5e is to take whatever setting or ideas that you have and distill them down to work with mechanics that already exist inside of the core books. So you don't have to buy a whole bunch of different books and campaign settings to make your campaign go. That all just boils down to what's already in the core book. What ends up happening there is a large disconnect from audience expectations, because every edition before then, when they came up with a new setting or idea, they would add additional mechanics to embellish the flavor or narrative of that setting, and that just doesn't happen in 5e. So I was excited about looking at what that might be, and when it didn't happen, just like with the color mana system for Ravnica, there was no color mana system, so I created a color mana system because I wanted one. Same thing with this combat and exploration. We've at this point created a 100-plus page book that focuses on using 5e combat on ships at the 50 and 500 foot scale, as well as exploration anywhere from 50 feet to 100 million miles squares per day. And so we're just about done with all the artwork that we need, and hey Karen, we're working on some assembly work. So just to finish up here real quick, I just posted on Twitter, so if you're on the Twitter platform, you can follow at Phil Kearney, and like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications. We picked up new subscribers since yesterday. That's wonderful, so thanks folks for being involved. If you want to see the full playlist involved, like for example this book cover we created back on episode 15, you can check down the full playlist down here for all 300 some odd episodes that we've generated so far. You can join the Discord community by clicking through to the About page on my Patreon while you're there. If you want to toss me a tip, be welcome. Otherwise, this book will publish probably, I'm thinking next week. There's still some like ship cards, and there's just some assembly stuff and little tits and bits that I need to, tidbits is the word I'm trying to use there, to make this thing go. So we're getting there. We're getting there. So yeah, we're doing some, we've been doing these little page embellishments in the corners, and I'm going to keep after that today, because I'm finding that to be a lot of fun, and it's pretty small scale sort of stuff, so I can just drop some bits in here. Like that. Nothing too massive. It's just some glam ups on the pages here to fill in the little gaps that occur between art and text and graphs and stuff. And for the most part, we've locked most of that stuff down. Let's see here. Interior. So once we finish the combat pages here, we're working on set 33 through 36 right now over here on the side rail. So we're going to just bounce down through to page 13. I don't know if we'll get through all of that in the 2-hour block that we have today, but this is going to be my focus for the rest of the day, and I anticipate being done with this cycle at some point today. And then the last bit that we'll need to do is, we've done all the artwork for Lattice I just need to assemble them into their individual pages. So once we finish combat, we'll be doing assembly work for the locks conversion guide. Once that assembly work is done, then we can start building the insert spots inside of the Word document here. Let's see if I can zoom in here slowly. While that attempts to zoom in, I'm going to keep picking away at some of the art over here. And then we'll get back to that once it's loaded in so you can take a look at what I'm talking about. Why aren't you loading in so I can talk about? Thank you. Wait for that to wake up. There we go. Let's go to right on. So one of the things I want to do is take each of these individual ships here. They have these little. We have this guide here for what the different weapons are. But for melee weapons, for instance, depending on how large your ship is, your melee weapon is going to deal more damage. And it would be a very considerate thing for me to do to include like index cards for each ship, and then using like for example, the turtle ship's pretty decked out. So it's got 1, 3, 4, 6, 7. 1, 3, 4, 6, and 7. So the ballista and the mangonel and the harpoon flingers, they're ranged weapons, so they don't really change damage types or like they don't change damage as the ship's size changes. But both the bludgeoning ram and the slashing rams do. So it would also be great to have the number of hit points that these things have, like from the pre-generated list here, to be able to break down all this stuff. There's also the cargo and towing capacity of these vessels. That would be a kind thing to include as quick reference cards, so that people don't have to go just dancing through this chapter to try to assemble all this information. The pre-generated chart does a good job summarizing some of just the core ship information. But I think it would just be a really great idea to have it all on the same page. So just have it all like I could probably take an 8.5 by 11 and probably do like a little space, like 1, 2, 3, and we'll have to build that. So that's it's another task I feel like I should perform. And I could, I guess, publish the thing first and then work on those cards and just add them to it once it's done. But then I'm going to be like, hey, hold on, guys, give me like another 3 days and I'll have it out. And it's like, no, just do the thing and then publish it. So it's just another instance of a one more thing sort of instance here. But I really am running out of things to do. It's just they got to get done. So can you hear the apologist inside of me feeling bad that it's yet again things that I need to do to get the thing published? I really am running out of things to do. So we just keep pushing out, and every day we get something more done, which leads us one step closer to getting it done. I've got a lot of free time coming up next week, so there's a very good chance that I'll have this published before leap year. Right on. Yes, as in yes, you keep finding new things to do. Yeah. See, my imposter syndrome immediately goes to the bad side. But this whole book has been a large lesson in not only humility, but also production work. I've never built something as ornate as this. It has a ton of moving parts. This is actually really good emotional preparation for the Eberron adventure that we've been designing, because it has even more assets. And I'll be able to more accurately gauge how long it takes me to produce things off of the results of this book. So it's not for nothing. We'll get there. You find something else to work on in no time. Always something new. there's already 5 other projects I want to do as a result of just this book. Like, this opens up Mecha. We have the living ships as sidekicks as a project. We have all of the supersized craft, the elven monarch, the dwarven citadel, the ogre mammoth, vocaths. We on my Discord, I was posting some preliminary sketch art and talking about vocath's base, conveniently 500 feet in size, just large enough, just small enough to be powered by a single spell jamming helm. So we could we can build vocath's base into a massive vessel, combat vessel with like crab legs and stuff. It'll be super fun to build that. There's the kaiju book. There's the Illithid and Yogi Dangers book. There's a lot of stuff we can do with this once we publish it. So this is just the beginning of tangential larks of creativity that we'll be able to explore. Kind of like the color mana system that I have in the description down below. There's like 6 books to that at this point. And we're going to be updating those. Once in September, when the Player's Handbook is available, we'll be updating the color mana system to work with whatever new tech is being introduced into 5e. I think we'll be mostly, more than anything, it's an opportunity for me to like glam up the page design and just to make it look prettier, because that series of books were the first ones I ever created. So I think I think I've become more, sophisticated and a bit more cohesive with the designs that I build now in page layouts, and like integrating the artwork, and obviously integrating the artwork into the page design itself is so I think I can level up those books. Plus, introducing Strixhaven and Theros, since I created those books, adding content about those settings into the core mechanics books that we have would be a good idea. And that paves the path for the Martial Powers project that we're working on, which will be the martial extension of the color mana system that we have for spellcasters, so that all 13 classes can use the same color mana resources. Or if you want to use elemental, air, earth, fire, water, you can do that instead. There's no limit to the number of different types of paradigms that you can use other than the 8 schools of magic once the paradigm system is, like, once you grok the paradigm system. And we explained that both in the Martial Powers book as well as in the core mechanics book. So there's a lot of stuff we can do. And then there's the Asteroid Belt campaign that I've been creating for my Eberron home table, which is proving to basically be its own variant 5e system based off of ability checks instead of different combat versus social versus exploration mechanics. It uses all of the same mechanics, kind of like Numenera or Index Card RPG. That's been very fun to develop. That's been on my lunch dev stream on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. And then, of course, I do artwork on Monday through Friday in the mornings. I have art stream on Mondays and Thursday nights, and then this is my Saturday morning workbench. And once this book is published on my Saturday morning workbench, I think I have some commission, a commission for landscape and I think it's gonna be a crow and trees or something. It's a commission, so I'm waiting for more details, but I'll have those at the beginning of March. So we'll be doing commission work on Saturday morning for a little while in March while we do other stuff during the days and blah blah blah. How's that look? It's okay. Let's go over here and splash this up a bit. So we're basically going, because when I hyperlinked, when I built out all the hyperlinks inside of the document in the Word document, it made some changes to the page where the text was sitting on the pages. So that's having me go through all of the pages again like this to make sure that the artwork sits pretty, and it's creating gaps at the bottom of the pages in some places and taking gaps away in others. So I have to go through all of the pages to make sure everything is still sitting properly, and when I'm finding these gaps that are opened up, that's why we're coming in here and doing this, like this filigree, filler art stuff. So this is basically like the third iteration of these pages that we've ran at this point, and there's no reason for me to do them again. I just want to make sure that these look pretty. There, and now we're going to... Yeah, it never really does it? You can't stop the signal, Mal. Use a masking layer to help fade out a little bit of that intensity when I don't need it to be intense. Feels pretty good. Maybe we'll grab a... We'll grab a splotch here and there. Oops. There, that feels good. Go to here, and beep, beep, and some star doodles. Just a little peppered in there. Just a little bit of pepper. A little bit of pepper. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. There, and then let's duplicate that layer. Merge that down. Then there. Pretty. Smudge. There. Subtle, not overwhelming. Helps fill in that gap a little bit. This is talking about organizing squadrons and fleets. Right now, it's specifically squadrons. There's vessels, craft, and then you can have mixed squadrons. So when you add up a bunch of ships together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these scorpions occupy 2x2 spaces, so they count as 2 squares. And you can have up to 10 squares per squadron, so that the math works, right? So like you're doing D10 times 10 damage, that times 10 multiplier. You could have like 10d6 times 10, or like if this squadron was equipped, was crewed by second rank crewmates, then they'd be rolling, it's first rank, second rank, up to 5th rank. The damage that they deal collectively is D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, depending on the rank of the crew or how experienced the crew is. And then the number of squares that each squadron occupies determines how many dice you throw. And then because they're siege weapons, it's times 10. So when you have a full squadron, like 10 squares worth of squadron, instead of rolling 10d6 times 10, you could simplify that down to a d6 times 100 if you wanted to be like it's not very granular. Like D&D tends to be granular, but you can break it down. So like if you're a DM and you're throwing squadrons at your team because they're high level or have a lot of ships on their side as well, you can boil down a squadron of ships into like D4, D6, D8, D10 times 100 damage. And each of these ships have 75 points. So that's what, 75 times 5 is almost 400 hit points. So like if I had a fleet of scorpions attacking another fleet of scorpions, I could potentially eliminate it. They can potentially one-shot each other at the scale of 500 feet with all these ships in combat with each other. If I had a fleet of 15 squadrons of scorpion ships, that's effectively 15 goblins in a cave. But we're dealing at the 500-foot scale. So, and then they get simplified down to this squadron is a V1, and then so you can have a separate 10 by 10 square holding each squadron separately, so you can look at, like, if the team wants to invade, like if they want to attack this scorpion ship specifically, then you can transition just to the scorpion specifically for the characters to jump on deck and attack each other. So that's how that scaling principle works. But out at this scale, at the 500-foot scale footprint, it's a squadron of vessels. There's a squadron of craft over here, and this is the 5-foot scale. These arrows, and then there's mixed squadrons where you have a squadron of, like, you have multiple squadrons of arrows, also with the mix with the scorpion ships together. So now you have a mixed squadron. Each of these occupies one square because they're fighter craft. This is a 15-foot by 15-foot craft. Having these all work together as a single squad is effectively a siege weapon. You can see here they only have harpoon flingers, little 5-foot, little 5-foot flingers. But if you have them all collecting together, that's 6d8 damage that would be converted, which you can convert into a d4 times 10. If you wanted. So this does d4 times 10, this does d4 times 10, this does d4 times 10, and then each of these does 2. If this was a first rank squadron, then this would be 2d4, and this would also be 2d4. So that's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7d4 times 10, which you could throw like that if you wanted to, or instead you could round it off to like 3d8. So you can do 3d8 times 10 instead if you wanted to simplify your dice. It's just, it doesn't, when you're dealing with multiple weapons, multiple ships, and multiple creatures, you can round it off to make it easier at your leisure. Or you could break down each individual weapon into their own single damage rolls and then add up all the dice, but the amount of dice you have to add up gets a little stupid. Hey, how you doing, Cash? So yeah, we're talking about squadrons, and I'm doing ship art. So I'm just kind of talking shop. But this page is good, so I'm going to stitch this one up. And here is this page that we had built with the harpoon flinger icon and the harpoon flinger and the eldritch cannon here. And we created this art. This one, it's good as is, but I wanted to play with some of this smoky corner effect that we've been doing lately. I just wanted to see if I can improve any aspect of this by messing with its corners. But the page itself is fine. The assembly is good. The balance is fine. I'm happy with it. But since we got into this corner treatment since building this, so now we have an opportunity to futz around with that a little bit more to see if this is a fun thing to do. And signs are already pointing to yes. There we go. I think I actually want to leave that in place like that. And it's all around these that I want to mess with. I think that's a fun aesthetic. Like, this is totally not important in the large scheme of things, but if you're going to look at the trees in the forest, then this is actually really important to just add the same level of care and attention to every page. And I enjoy the process. I really do. The only reason I lament not being done with it is just because I want it done. So I may as well calm down a little bit and just let it do what it needs to do to get to the place where it's supposed to be. And this is me attempting to cope and to coach myself into not feeling like I am a disappointment to myself. I set goals that I realize I can't achieve, and then I get to guilt myself for not being able to do the things that I said I was going to do when no one asked me to say it. So I'm inflicting myself with my own emotional wounding to let myself feel like I'm unreliable, to undermine the ability to succeed at my task, which is a subtle form of imposter syndrome. I'm aware of it, and the process is angry that I am aware of it because it doesn't get to play its game if I keep calling out that it's playing games with my heart. So I'm trying to build a better relationship. I have a dysfunctional relationship with myself. How about that? Fade that down a little bit. I like this. I think this is turning out okay. Very relatable. we all want to believe that we're not good enough. People that don't ever believe that, I question. They're either incredibly aware and self-realized, or completely unaware of themselves and dangerous. People that think they can't do anything wrong do a lot of harm. I used to be that guy. I had to hurt too many people that I cared about for me to realize I didn't really care about them, and to realize I really need to figure out who the fuck I think I am. But that's what your 20s and 30s are for. If you do a good job with it, you get to settle into middle age with some confidence that you're at least not trying to hurt people anymore. I have Tuesday and Wednesday off next week. So I had originally thought I'd be done with the book on Tuesday, so I'd have some downtime for myself, but I am quickly realizing that is not the case, that I'll be probably working on the Light of Zarax's conversion guide on Tuesday. And then doing token work, page assembly, like actually dropping images into pages into the PDF to seal it up. That's probably what we'll be doing on Tuesday, which means we'll be breaking down tokens into individual files for adding to the zip. When this thing publishes, it'll be a PDF that you can look at the preview on DMsGuild before purchasing, and then if you do purchase, it'll have a zip file full of all the ship tokens, creature tokens, monster tokens, all of the maps that we built for Light of Zaraxis. And once we finish them, the ship detail pages and map tools like blank grids and circles of different sizes, so that you can drop circles on top of each other to assemble Spelljammer systems, wild space systems, using the assembly method that I had presented on one of my videos previously. So all those assets will be in there for folks. So it'll be a complete package unto itself. And it's the amount of packaging that tends to slow these things down a little bit. But it'll be a very complete product with all the game pieces when it's finished. Lots of game pieces here. Oh, wait, no, that's not how I do it. Game pieces. That's a Magic the Gathering joke, where cards are referred to as game pieces instead of collectible commodities. Which is the line between people that invest in Magic cards and people that just play Magic with cards, but don't value them. Interesting thought process there. Hey there, Timely Timer. Keeping track of time with me, thank you. So where are we at, 30 minutes on the clock, and it's 10:15 here, so we still have about 80 minutes left this morning. And once we finish here, I'll drop offline. Actually, for anyone that's interested, when I finish stream here, I normally have brunch with my gal in the afternoon, but she's got some business that she has to attend to today, so I'm going to be flying solo for a while, but I want to be available. So I don't want to be, because I won't pick up the phone and have conversations normally when I'm streaming. So, but I want to be available once I'm done. So what I'll do is I'm going to still be live on my Discord channel. So anyone that's interested in hanging out afterwards when I finish the stream, you can go to my Patreon, the About page. I just updated the link for the invites to my Discord channel. And I'll just be dropping into an audio channel, sharing screen, and see if I can, I don't know if I can share music or not, but if it lets me share music, then I'll be playing like Zeppelin and Sepultura, Pantera, maybe some Pink Floyd. I don't know. I'm gonna listen to the stuff that I like to listen to. I've been listening to a lot of Skane lately, and Skeller, as well as Black Ceiling and Purity Ring. So I've been a lot of Witch House. But that's the stuff that I listen. That's all copyright music, and I can't really listen to it on stream here without getting copyright strikes. And I don't want to do that. I nuked my Twitch channel, my Twitch channel into oblivion by playing nothing but copyright music while I did this work back a couple years ago when I was making color mana books on stream. And I didn't care at the time. I was just like, whatever. I don't care about Twitch. I'm going to just play what I want and do what I want. And that was a fun place to hang out, but I like YouTube better. And since I actually care about my YouTube channel, I don't want to play copyright music. But I can do that on my own time all I want. And if I figure out how to make Discord work, then it's just an open chat channel. People can hang out and shoot the shit with me. Drop that in a little bit there like that. Some of these go really, really fast, and some of them get real nitpicky. I haven't cracked the code as to what, why, when. There. I'm going to break that down to a really low power so I can just smooth curve that in. I like how this looks. It's not the best art in the world, but they can't all be natural 20s, right? You have to have all 20. I can clean up the natural ones. I don't think I have any natural ones anymore. Though some folks' haircuts are awful natural ones, but I'm okay with that. I don't know. Is it off-putting to talk about imposter syndrome and like my thoughts about like business progression and all that stuff? I don't know if that's actually, if I'm just self-soothing in real time in front of people, or if there's actually some value to that conversation point. This is do I have a, like, am I, like, are these TMI? You know? My gut says it's okay to talk about it, but I don't think it hurts to do a gut check occasionally. Let's go over here. I feel like I have a time delay a little thicker than I want. Right on. Well, then I'll just keep following my heart. I mean, the answer always should be follow your heart, but there's also letting myself carry on, you know? Like getting away from myself or like losing the lead, you know? Like nothing's worse than a leader that no one wants to follow. Not that's how I'm framing myself per se, but I am leading the conversation, obviously. So, I mean, to a certain extent, yes. There. Good. Breaking off that, breaking out that frame is, is that? There we go. Listening to Zeppelin before we jumped on here, so I've got Zeppelin 3 just running through my head. I don't know how to purge earworms of songs that I love. But even songs that you love, you can burn out on. Oh my god, it was so funny. Back in the mid 90s, there was I lived in St. Louis, Missouri, America, and there was a new radio station that was gearing up to start broadcasting, and so they counted down from 1 million. It was like 1 million seconds before they started, something like that. It was like it took like 2 weeks or whatever for it to go through the countdown, and and when the countdown finished, it announced itself as the All Macarena station. All Macarena, all the time. And if you don't know what the Macarena is, it was just a stupid '90s song with a dance attached to it when they were starting to figure out how to do videos, and it was ridiculous and very '90s. But it was literally not. It just looped the Macarena song over and over again, 24/7. It did that for 48 hours before the actual radio station decided to launch. But back in those days, people would. Yeah, I gotta fix my chair. Back in those days, people would have cassette recorders in their radio. So when a song came on the radio, they could click record and would start recording the song onto a cassette tape that you can then play back. And so when the Macarena station launched, I listened to it for about an hour, and I was like, oh yeah, this is torturous. I must keep this. So I made an hour and a half long tape, so 45 minutes front, 45 minutes back, and then you put in an auto looper, and I could play the Macarena forever. And I would take it to work with me when I was in charge. If people were pissing me off, when I was the lead, the manager, minding the shop. If people got too sassy, I'd basically put on the Macarena and lock the door, and force people to listen to the Macarena for however long it took them to start complying. It's like, you get shit done, I'll turn this song off. It was awesome, but my capacity for suffering was amazing. So I could just completely block it out, but other people didn't have that mental fortitude built up yet in their early 20s. So it was very much a stick and a carrot unto itself. The stick was, I'll play this song forever and I can tolerate it, and the carrot was turning it off. Like, talk about a zero-cost solution. Oh man, that was funny times back in the day. Fucking Macarena. I think I still have it laying around here, but I don't have a cassette player anymore. But I think I kept it just for nostalgia. But by God, that was Macarena. Like, just non-stop. It would just roll from one. It would just roll. It would just end, and it was just like you put loop on YouTube. You know, it just looped, just went forever. It was awesome. And then it became a classic rock station. So I was like, joke's over. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let's listen to some Pink Floyd. I don't remember the name of the station. I left for college shortly. Like maybe 9 months after that. No, that's not right. That was this during one of the summer breaks. That was like, oh God, I wasn't 21. I was only 20 at that time. Jeez, McCrow. Is that right? Yeah. God. That. There. I think this was the last square frame illustration in the book that needed dissolving, as it were. There. Am I content with that? I'm starting to feel like I am. Just zoom in real quick, just make sure everything sits smooth. I know I'm good up top already, so that's cool. Just gotta finish this little bit here, and then we'll find the next page that needs tormenting. I tell you, man, I've been really digging Deep Rock Galactic Survival. The first person shooter version of it's okay, but the survival isometric third person survival style game, like when you accumulate experience points and you get a random option to level up your gear or whatever. I don't play these games. I listen to them while I'm painting, and then we'll occasionally flip screen to see what's being selected, and then go back to them, yammering on about whatever they're destroying or whatever. Like Vampire Survivor and Deep Rock Galactic Survivor are the two Survivor games I think have been the most fun to listen to on Let's Plays. And it's one of my players, the home table that I run, that we've been building the Eberron Spelljammer Rubble Asteroid Belt mining operation campaign, pointed out DRG. I immediately fell in love with it because I geek out on it. Like dwarves in space, I just geek out on. It's. I'm not a big dwarf fan in general in D&D, but when it's Spelljammer or some sort of space motif, I like dwarves a lot. They all rolled. So I have a team of 5, and they all rolled their characters randomly. Like the entire character can be randomized. Because there's 3 races, there's 4 classes. Each class has 4 features. There's 6 abilities and like stats, like strength, dexterity, etc. And then there's the 6 stats are divided into 3 facets, which are power, skill, and grit. And so strength and charisma are power based, intelligence and dexterity are skill based, and constitution and wisdom are grit based. So you get proficiency in one facet. So you roll a d3 for your race, you roll a d3 for what facet you're proficient in, and then all the stats have the same starting stat array: +3, +2, +1, 0, -1, -2, arranged to taste. Or if you wanted to randomize it, keep them in that order: +3, +2, +1, 0, -1, -2, and then just roll a d6 to see which stat gets the +3, and then just go down the page and then wrap around to the top and go down. So you'll have, like, you could randomly roll being proficient in skill, but then have grit have the +2, +1, and then it wraps around to 0, -1 in power, and then when you +1, 0 in power, and then when you get to skill, it's a -1, -2, but you're proficient in it, so it becomes a +1, 0. But you could have random it and like ended up with power getting your +3, +2, and having power gain the proficiency, so you can start with a +5, +4, and then it goes to +1, 0, -1, -2. So and then there's dwarves, gnomes, and warforged are the 3 races, and the three classes are they're called specialists: combat, delving, espionage, and diplomacy. And so you roll a d4 to random what that is, and just like Shadow Dark, each class has a list of 4 perks, and so you roll a d4 to see which perk you get. And some of them can stack, and each one of them has a spellcasting option. So when if you get a feature that doesn't stack, it defaults to gain a second spell slot for the day. And like with Maze Rats and Dungeon Crawl Classics, you can like Maze Rats, you randomize what the spell is. And with Dungeon Crawl Classics, you make an ability check versus the level of spell that you decide to cast. And if you succeed in the casting check, you can cast the spell again another time. As soon as you fail the check, you'll lose the spell forever, and you won't be able to re-roll it until the next session. So at the beginning of each session, whoever lost spells basically roll new spells to see what they get, and they're a combination of like a form and effect. So like one of the forms is like, say, tar, arrows, cone, cloak is one of them. Vision is another form, and then there's effects like slow, hamper, enhance, jumping, speed, pursuit. So like if you get like a cloak of pursuit, then you narrate, like you just make a description of how do those two words work together to do this thing that you want to do, and whatever that is. Like if you have a cloaking pursuit spell, you like might want to cast the spell when you're being pursued, so your team becomes invisible, so it's more difficult for the enemy to pursue you now. Or you could cloak your team in some sort of hasting effect, so when you're pursuing them, you can catch them more easily. But you set the parameters of what it is, and then the difficulty is going to range in a DC from a difficulty of 1 is a DC 4, a difficulty of 10 is a DC 31. Make an ability check, and if you hit the ability check, it executes the way that you expect it to. If you fail the die roll, you'll fail anywhere from a degree of 1 to 9. If it was like a difficulty 10 and you rolled a 1, then you're going to have 9 degrees of complications stacked on top of you, and then you also lose the spell. So you create a wild magic surge that absolutely wrecks your team, and you lose the ability to cast that spell anymore. So it's like everything's like, this could be the last time I ever cast this spell. What do I want it to do? And like gnomes can ignore losing a spell once per session. So that's cool. So the whole team is, they all random, and the whole team are gnomes except for one Warforged. And so they're all like, yeah, let's load up, let's get spells so we can bullshit with our spells. We can do something, we can afford to do something really stupid with our spells once per session and not risk losing them. So they're all really on board. Now that they all have their characters made, they're all really stoked to actually get started and to throw this, because they've never played Numenera. They've never played Dungeon Crawl Classics. They haven't played Shadow Dark, so they don't know how any of these other game systems work. And I've been cherry picking these concepts out of them to build a unique game experience for them. Because we just did a 20th level campaign in D&D 5e from level 1 to 20. And they're like, that was fun, but what can we do that's different? And it's like, well, let's do this instead. They're like, this is cool. So hopefully it ends up as fun as they want it to be. It's got a lot of promise, and it's like I said, it's an amalgamation of a number of different types of role-playing games. So, but it has its own. It feels unique in the result of that, kind of like how Pal World, not that I compare myself to Pal World, but how Pal World takes a number of different popular tropes from different types of game and fuses them together to create this Pal World experience. This role-playing, this thing that we built kind of has that same gestalt, more than its pieces. And if it plays well and we figure out a way to make it fun and it stays fun, then I'll build a PDF out of it, put it on my Discord and my Patreon for people to grab, and maybe do a Kickstarter with it next year. Unexpected, like I have all the streams on my channel. In about 12 hours, maybe about 15 hours, we built a whole new role-playing game themed around fighting monsters and asteroids, kind of like Deep Rock Survival, but also with like fighter ships and squadrons of craft, and this Civilization 4X style of gameplay of conquering different territories and then using your resources to maintain your borders and to gather StarCraft style all of these resources from these asteroids for you to be able to build more ships or level up your team or gain do research, XCOM style, to do more research to gather like if you learn a spell, you could sacrifice it and then spend research points to make that spell no longer a spell but a magic item that your team can purchase and equip, so as a team gains more levels, they can afford to load out more and more gear on their team to go into a specific challenge. It's like, yeah, we're doing an espionage mission. That cloak of pursuit is definitely worth researching to have available to everyone on the team, so that they can all make an ability check and turn invisible for however long they can maintain it for, and build the style of game around that. And then the combat and the espionage, the diplomacy, and the delving all have different types of challenges and fail states and different ways of escalating risks when they have complications, all using the same mechanics but changing the narrative tone so that there's an obvious distinguishing difference between like fighter ship combat versus mecha combat versus espionage versus diplomacy and negotiating. So, but they all use the same ability check system. It's pretty cool. It's worth checking out. And it should probably take maybe a couple months, like maybe 3 or 4 months of the team playing it. And if it's still something, like if they don't enjoy it, we can just shift gears and do, I don't know, like Dragonbane or something else. But if they're liking it and they want to keep doing it and they're interested in advancing their guild and diving further developing their position in the campaign space, then that's a good indication that it's worth exploring on a broader scale, and I'll make it available for folks to playtest. For anyone that would be interested in doing that. And there we go. I think that's pretty good. Hey, Fantasy, how you doing? I'm trying to get my board lined up here, so I haven't been here in a while. Yeah, welcome to the mix. Welcome back, my dude. Let's see. I think this page is pretty good. Yeah, I think I'm content with that. So let's hit save. And then I got my little plushie toy on top of my microphone. Named him Doodle. I have a mascot now, but you can't see him because he hides on my shoulder, and the Ravnica Guild Pack sign background swallows him up. Lock that in there. This is already well organized. Like I don't need to do like this graphic down here is like I don't need to do a little graphic space in here because there's only like 3 lines of space. If this paragraph didn't exist, and so this was all white space here, this would be a large enough space that I'd want to put a color splotch. But like there's not enough space between these two things like to have an intrusion here. It would just be intrusive. It's unnecessary. But these little watermarks that we're doing are specifically filling larger gaps just to, yeah, God, I love how that looks. All right, cool. So that's good. So we hit save here. 33, 34, 35, 36. Here's the Warbird. I know we're going to be getting into pages pretty soon where I'm going to be swapping out all the Elven Flitter icon, ship icons for this Warbird instead. So that is about to happen. So let's go back into here and go into products and then interior pages. Combat 33, 34, 35, 36 are now done. Get rid of that. So now we're going to open up 29, 30, 31, and 32. There we go. And let's go look at our document here. Let's go back up to our table of contents. I love it, though. We got, if anyone missed it, we strung up our navigation bar down here. It'll take you to the beginning of each of the chapters. Like we're here in the spellcasting chapter, right? Well, let me go down here to the exploration chapter. But see, the spellcasting icon gets lit up when you're in the spellcasting chapter, and when you're in the combat chapter, the combat icon is lit up. So it has this fun little navigation effect here. But you can also go back to the table of content, and all of these are strung up to be able to bounce you around inside the document. I love that shit. And then we have all the hyperlinks like C section, bloody blah, C section. Here we go. Here's an instance. Ranger's favored enemy grants advantage with detection checks as detailed in the orrery scan section below. So take you down to the orrery scan section. The whole thing is strung up now. So let's go back up to here, and what are we dealing with here? Weapons and crew. So let's go down to the weapons and crew. There we go. So, and then like we've shown before, we'll have a page open here, I'm pretty sure. But the way that everyone knows how PDFs work, that you have the left-hand rail here. When you open up the rail, it'll show the entire table of contents. So we have not only the actual table of contents here, but we have like the entire documents. Like it's like 85 different subsections of all like ship roles, right? It'll take you down to the ship roles section here, and Siege Commander role is separately linked from the actual roles. Like you have the ship roles themselves, but then you have each sub role within each section: the pilot, the Siege Commander, the Squadron Commander, and the support roles that you can play on your ship. Each of them bounce to different things. So anyway, it's strung up real good. So let's go back to our table of contents and go back to the weapons and crew. That's where we're at on this page. And what I want to do is make sure, because when I did all this hyperlinking, it ended up affecting the page layouts a touch. So I need to make sure everything is, see that this got shifted a little bit. You see that? Like here, the bottom line on this meets the gap between the ship melee reach and the examples. But here, the gap is now aligned with the examples. So I think that means that the text down here got shunted a little bit. So I'm going to have to open all this up and modify that page. But I work from the back forward. So from the front, from the back to the front. So let's go down to page 32. And like there's no room on page 32 for ranged weapons. So there, and yeah, there's no illustrations on this page. So this one's done. There, we just finished the page. Congratulations. Here we're on another page. This is page 31. So let's go to page 31 here, and yeah, oops, looks like I got some background radiation bleeding through. Thrown weapons. Oh yeah, that's right. And we had to modify this. So this corner, unfortunately, this corner splash is no longer necessary. But if we find another page in the document that has a corner open up like this, I can transplant this. I can pick this up, take it away, and then drop it into another area. So I'm going to we're going to duplicate this group as a new thing. Right corner splash. There. So let's just grab this real quick. What's this, page 30? Is that right? Page 31. There we go. Oof, you're off alignment, buddy. There. There. Now it's lined up. Wait, it's like super close, but I think it's actually a little wide. Yeah, it's just like a touch wide. So let's go to here. There. Now it's perfectly aligned. It's the little details, you know, like the really, really small little details like that that make it worth going back through the... Oh, crap. Nope, wait. That was acceptable because I haven't gotten rid of the background on these pages yet. Cool. Sometimes I make corrections after I delete the background. I'm like, fuck. I deleted the background. This is lame. Delete that. There we go. See, this is an image in a separate object, and then there's actually invisible text. It's just spaces. And then I hyperlink the spaces. Like, you know, like here. like space button. So this whole thing is full of spaces, and then you can see here, like there's and I put on a button, it activates it mouse over for the hyperlink, but there's nothing in between. You can see it has the cursor icon, and then when I'm over the button, it's a mouse over click, and then it goes back to a cursor icon. See, because I have all the text in this spot right here is a separate link. So that's how you can make hyperlink. How you can create hyperlinks over images inside of PDF documents. So when we go into the Eberron book and we start building our Eberron adventure, I can drop a map onto a page and then have like little numbers for each room on the map. And if you click on that, I can actually outline the room and make an invisible skin that when you click on that room, it'll take you to that page in the document where we're looking at that room only on that page. So we can navigate and bounce around the document and isolate each separate element of the adventurer's dungeons into one or half page spaces that we can then hyperlink the entire thing together to be able to move from one dungeon to another dungeon by clicking through the environment map that takes you to different dungeons in the environment, and then zoom into that dungeon and then click to all the different rooms in that dungeon to be able to navigate around inside of that. And then when you run across a creature, you can click into that to drop you down to where that monster is in the block of stats with the creatures that are in that dungeon, that you can then look at a random table for the monsters that are in that dungeon and then click out of that back to the dungeon that they're inside of. Fun stuff. Heavy PDF navigation to make it really easy for a DM to use that adventure to be able to navigate throughout the document. So that's some of the tech that we've picked up and learned how to do as a result of how long this project has taken to complete. So like when I say I really don't mind how long it's taken to build this thing, because we are learning new skill sets of production and design set skills to be able to make the next book even better than this one. So goddamn, that is going to be a gorgeous book when it is done. I am ever so very looking forward to that. But let's stop geeking out and get back to work. So file, export as a PDF into combat, pages 31. Option is current page only as a document with no properties or structure tagging, equals a single page PDF. There it is. Undo and save so I keep my background on the board. I can close this out. I then come over here, I open up a new PDF, which is page 31. Click, open, select all text, copy, paste into place, destroy the old text, TXT, lock that layer to prevent shenanigans, close that to minimize RAM usage. There you go. And now I can see that our maps are off alignment. So I need to jump into here, open this up. There's that and that and map. There's a map. Jesus, how do I have this thing broken down? Fuck all. Let's see. Ship. Grid. Ship, grid. There. That is Bludgeoning is resolved. Let's do the same thing for this here. Blop, blop. And then beep, beep. And then bloop. And then here. Sloppy assembly work, Kearney. Very, very sloppy assembly work. Grid, grid, bop, bop. Here, there. There, cool. Clean that up. Slash, pierce, bludgeoning. Now, looks like it still fits the space. I just needed to push it down a little bit so it sat square inside of its space. And slashing did not change. Piercing. Are we still okay over here? Feel like I need to raise this up. This, this, and this. There we go. Feels a little squinched. So let's see if I can instead suss out the slashing position. Thank you, Timely Timer. Have like what, another hour left? Yeah. No, about 40 minutes. Okay. And then I'm going to continue this on my Discord. And if you don't know where my Discord is at, again, that is here. If you click through to the About page of my Patreon, I update the Discord invite link every week. So it's fresh and current, and I'll be hanging out in a voice stream. And if I can get music to play so people can listen to it with me, then I will play some classic rock or some metal or whatever it is that inspires me to keep working. But I'm not brunching with my gal. I don't believe I am anyway. She said that she's going to be doing work stuff, so I think I'm going to be flying solo for a while this afternoon. This feels a little pinched. So I'm going to go here and here. Let's just add a little buffer here. Nothing too. Oh, that's interesting. Get out of here, scallywag. Let's pull this guy's nose in a little bit so he's not poking out so much. That helps. Pull that in a little bit. And down a touch. There we go. That's much cleaner. Okay, cool. So now I can shave away at this a little bit. I feel like I can push that nose forward a little bit, so let's do that. Wrong gear, Kearney. Hold on. Slashing's where I want to be. Slashing's where it's at. that, and that, and that, and that. Nope, not that. God. All right, Kearney. There we go. Looking for that balance. I feel like I should actually push this one. Keep those in balance. Yep, I'm good with that. And I don't need to embellish this page any further, so this one is done as well. 31 and done. Page 30. We got some stuff going on here, yo. Let's look at page 30. Change the balance on this page. Signs point to no change. There's a little bit of change. Okay, I'm gonna have to shift the balance. Yeah, there is a little bit of a change. So let's go to here. This is where we're supposed to be. Yes? Yes. This is page 30, is that right? Yes, page 30. Oh my god, there's a lot of shit going on. I know this isn't the most interesting work, but this is the job. And I like to show people, one of the reasons why we built this stream in the first place was to show people how this stuff, like what I do anyway. Maybe there's people that are better at this than me, and there probably is, but this is the process that I go through to build a PDF. So I know there's at least a few people that hang out here with me that are into building PDFs also. Option, current page only. I can see, no, wait. Scoot you into the trash. Third. File. Export. PDF. Interior. Interior pages. Combat. Here, I'll show you a Vocats machine in a minute. Options is current page only. When we finish this, set, then I'll open up Vocats Crab. Publish single page. Thank you. Undo the delete and save it to prevent trouble. Close that up. Go back to our document. Click. Open. Okay, select all, copy, paste and play. Oh, cool. This does need to shift a little bit, and this needs to shift down too. Okay, great. So yeah, I was right. I do need to make some adjustments. So delete there, txt, lock that page. Oh my God, what a hot mess. Side squib. Okay, I see how this is set up now. So tokens, we have the scorpion, and we have the grid, and we have, what the hell? Oh. Scorpion, air bubble, grid. There. Very good. And we can just scoot this down a tick. There we go. And scroll down here. These are looking a bit thick. So can I free transform? Let's bring down the size a little bit. Grappling tentacles for the win. And God, did I please? Yes. Yes, I did. And it fits now without crowding. Oh my God. Every time I make changes like this, the document just gets better. It's just naturally folding itself together to just sit more prettily. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. Holy Hannah. Now, where's my map? Oh, wrong one. Hmm. $20, 25%. And that squid is too big, apparently. So let's drop you down a touch, buddy. Oops, that was the wrong button. Let's go. Let's try that again. Can I? Yeah, I can. I think I need to drop down the size of the squid a little. And then I need to increase the size. Let's not there. Let's see what happens if we do that. Did I? Hold on real quick. Yeah, sure as shit. All right. This is the right page. All right, so contemplating my next move. Yep. Still within bound. Little big. That's okay. So let's just shrink you down just a smidge. There. And now we can free transform. That feels a little fat. Not happy, Bob. Give me another moment. Oh, that's interesting. Free transform. Where do we go from here, huh? There. Cool. Oh, yeah, that's going to be just fine. Line that up. And let's make sure that now sitting. There. That's a good space. Okay, cool. So now that we have that all lined up, what happens if I disable this layer? Ugh, gets ugly quick. Cool. There we go. Feels okay. Let me grab this other one over here. Get out of here. Balancing all things. There we go. Cool, we fixed it. And that's good. That's good. We're good here. I'm leaving that as empty space. I don't want to fill all the empty. You need resting space for the eye. The eye needs rest when you're looking at dense information. And this is pretty dense information. Side squib. There, grappling tentacles. And that resolves this page. So, whoop, how are we sitting? We still got 10 some odd minutes, 20 minutes. That's done. Didn't we have a hot mess somewhere around here? I feel like there was a hot mess. That's where it was. All right, we're on our last 20-minute cycle for now. There. Lock. Let's look at page 29. Feels like it shifted a little bit during the process. So let's make sure we're doing it right, like everything else. Oh my god, what a mess. I hope it's right, because that's just garbage. So we go back to here. Delete, undo, here. This is page 29. Yes, it is. So we'll go to File, Export, PDF, Interior Pages, Combat, Trash Bin 30, go to 29, and then Options equal Current Page, Documents, no properties or tags, okay, Publish Single Page. Bop. Undo, save, close the PDF, close that, no longer need it, file, open, select, okay, select all, copy, paste in place. It's a little cramped, but it's not a big problem. We can just resize. Yeah, we just need to drop the size of that. All of, you just pointed to all of me. Mm-hmm. TXT, lock, left. Yeah, no. This is what we're supposed to be doing. There. Why is this a difficulty? Oh, there we go. Ooh, that's a nice line up there. Okay, and we can afford to make this just a tick better. There, and now we can lock that in there. wait. Oh, that actually fits. Oh, but it's going, I don't have enough grid, do I? Is that why I faded that down? What looks better, the full circle with all the grid, or... Let's theorize that the full grid is better. Here? I mean, yeah, that's there. Where's my grid at? Right hand side is fine. Oh, that's right. It's overlaying because of this. Right. There it is. And it's at 50%. Let's duplicate that layer. Merge that down, and then drop it back to 50. There we go. There we go. That's pretty good. And now maybe we can trim along the edges a little bit. Let's go back down here. Nope, that's not it. There we go. Oh my God, what a hot mess. What a hot mess. 59%, that's weird. 59. Let's take that back up to 100. All right. Duplicate. Hyperextend that. Where are you at? Why are you hiding? What is that all about? Maybe I need... I'm trying to figure out... Is this even important? No, it's not. It's not actually important. So let's just end doing all that malarkey. This is an instance of knowing when enough is enough. There we go. There we go. Hey, Fitney. Haven't been here. Did I just not catch you being here? No, wait, no. I just thought you were somebody else. Hold on. I don't know. Whatever. I'm the worst. I am the worst. Welcome to my corner of stupidity. Cheers. Let's lock that together. And let's push that up so that the borders here and here and here are all aligned. Scratch that. Let's... Did I want to do that? Yeah. No, that's perfect. Okay, cool. So there we go. That is resolved mercifully without any need to fudgudgedy at the page at all. So that is 29. That is mission complete. The vine, so fine. All right, and we only have a few minutes left. So what was that page? 29. Let's close that out. There's my warbird. Open page 29. Drop that into the done bin. Drop that into the trash bin. So we now have 13 to 28. That's 16 pages. When I woke up this morning, we had 40 pages. And then I got down to 30. I got down to 32 pages, and now we're down to 26 pages. So we did a good job, guys. Not bad. As a celebration, I'm going to take a quick tangent here. And this was Vokath Crab. If you're on my Discord, you've seen this already, but let's see. D&D Beyond. Spelljammer. Lazurks. Vocast base. Okay, here's a map of Vocast base. Where'd it go? Fujijidi. All right. See here, it says each square is 20 feet. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 20, 40, 60, 80, 200, 20, 40, 60, 80, 300, 20, 40, 60, 80, 400, 20, 40, 60, 80, 500. I think I was off. Oh, it's these little, hold on. Let's do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Thank you, 25. I had a misstep. So that's 25 squares. Each square is 20 feet. That's a 500-foot space that this base occupies. So using our rules, we can have this as a spelljamming ship. So this is what we were dealing with it. You have the arena, right? So you have the central arena here, and then you have the private box, and then you have the tower. And then you have this arm off the side. So what we did was we have the arena, we have the tower, and that arm off the side, we decided can rotate around to fit over the arena. If you don't know Light as Araxis, spoiler alerts. And then you can see each of these spokes around the legs are these spokes here. So like a leg would be here, a leg would be here, a leg would be here, a claw would be here. Oh no, wrong way. Leg here, leg here, leg here, claw here, leg here, leg here, leg here. Between these spaces, right? This is where the leg would be. You can see here's a leg, here's a leg, here's a leg. And these all fold up underneath here as these crystals, right? So when we build these crystals unfurl as legs, and then at the front end of these unfurl to be claws. And instead of a scorpion ship, right? Like you see a little scorpion ship here that sits in a 75-foot space. This thing is like a massive crab that fits in a 500-foot space. And this is the largest space that a single spelljamming helm can control. Anything that fits within a 500-foot space, a single spelljamming helm can control. If you have multiple 500-foot spaces, you'd have to have a series of helms. So we could theoretically have like a 500-foot wide, 5,000 foot long structure that would require 10 spelljamming helms in a series called a series helm that are all linked together to be able to pilot this 1 mile long, 500 foot wide. That'd be the Empire of Wu in Forgotten Realms. They're called tsunamis. So we have the Elven Monarch, which is a 500-foot butterfly. We have the Ogre Mammoth, which is a 500-foot brick of that looks like an elephant. We have the 500-foot Dwarven Citadel, which is literally a rock that they carve into a shape as they mine it out, but it just becomes just a flying flotilla. But if it's 500 feet in size or smaller, then it's a single asteroid. They can operate that with one helm. And then we have the Tsunami, which could be 500 feet wide and any length beyond that with series helms. And now we have Vokath's base, which in Light as Araxis is just a base, and in the conversion guide that we use, it's also just a base. But if we wanted to make it a thing, Vokath could become a major villain in a campaign, and his craft is his fortress becomes a combat crab. So if you know the adventure, he has a mirror of it's a mirror of storing, or what the hell is it called? Hold on. Mining, wall force, Vokath's base, private box, treasure, balcony, arena. Here we go. It's a mirror. Let's see. Mounted on the underside of Vokath's private box, visible to creatures on the arena floor, is a mirror of life trapping. There we go. Mirror of life trapping. This 4-foot mirror is viewed indirectly. Its surface shows faint images of creatures. The mirror weighs 50 pounds, blah. The mirror is hanging on a vertical surface, and you are within 5 feet of it. You can use an action to speak its command words and activate it. It remains activated until you use an action to speak the command word again. Any creature other than you that sees its reflection in the activated mirror while within 30 feet of it must succeed a saving throw or be trapped, along with anything that it is wearing or carrying. If in one of the mirror's 12 exponential cells, the saving throw blah, exponential space and infinite expanse filled with fog. Mirror trapped a creature, but its 12 extra-dimensional cells are already occupied. The mirror frees one trapped creature. So the way the arena works is that Vokath has trapped in the Mirror of Life trapping a number of creatures that it then feeds out into its arena. But the way that we have it built is it has a lens. So it can click forward, and then the entire thing becomes a projector. So anything that you have trapped inside of it, it can project onto a location. We haven't determined specifically how far away, but I think within a mile would be reasonable. So this thing could target a ship or a location a mile away and then shoot a beam of light at it. And when it hits, whatever creatures are stored inside the life trapping mirror would then appear at the location. And if you aren't activating it, it just becomes a radiant damage cannon. And that's my timer. So this will be another thing that we can build out once we finish this supplement. This is another example of the tech that exists inside of this thing that we're building. That's available. Like all the mechanics exist inside there. All we have to do is apply imagination. And it's so funny that so much of the Light of Xeraxis adventure accidentally works with the system that we built here, with the scaling properties. So there's a lot of really freaking cool stuff that we can do with this book as we move along in the future. So yeah, that's what we're doing. So yeah, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, hit notifications, and if you think that stuff is cool, stick around. This is the kind of stuff that we're gonna do. So that's kind of a tear out piece. I could like take that 2-minute piece and then drop it in as a single standalone video and then publish that out for people to mess around with. Anyway, we'll see if we can do that. But okay, great. So that's my timer. I'm going to be done here for the day. And yeah, it is. I mean, we can do that with any number of things, but this is just, I mean, the map already exists. All we have to do is just flesh it out as a tank. So I could probably have that done like in a week or so, and I can just pick at that like on my in my evenings and on my Saturday stream, maybe at lunch times. Like once this project's off my desk and we move Eberron forward to our Monday through Friday project in the mornings, then that frees up all that design space in the evening. And the Spelljammer campaign that I've been building for my home team, that's going to actually launch officially this week on Wednesday. So I won't be streaming that during my lunch stream Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. Instead, I'll go back to the Martial Power System so we can build the Color Mana Hexcrawl campaign to playtest the Martial Power System that we've been developing for the past year. For anyone that's interested in tagging along, jump into my Patreon to have preferential seats at my playtest tables. And yeah, so we'll be able to build this, and like I said, like the Monarch and the Mammoth and the Dwarven Citadel. We can build the Mind Spider, a Neogi. It'd be something similar to this. Basically, it's hold on. I'll show you if you aren't familiar, because we have the Night Spider here, but there's also Neogi Mind Spider. Check this dude out. What a beast. That's a horrible illustration, by the way. I mean, it's there we go. See, I could make this a 500-foot craft as well. See, it's got a whole tower on top of it. This is supposed to... this never really got built in Spelljammer. There was a miscommunication about the artwork, and it ended up being a 35-foot... Like, this... In Spelljammer 2nd Edition, this is a 35-foot craft. And it's not built properly. This should be a 500-foot space that this occupies, and then these claws go out an extra 500 feet as well to grab things. So it's just this is the Neogi Mind Spider. It's a command craft. This is another thing that we can build at the 500-foot scale. So there's a bunch of like huge scale ships. And then the Spelljammer, the massive manta ray setting book, setting ship. It's 1.5 miles wide and 3.5 miles. It's 3.5 miles wide and 1.5 miles deep and about 1 mile tall. And that would fit inside of a 3x3, it's 3 miles wide. So it'd fit in a 3x3 space with each square being 1 mile. So we could build a massive craft like that. It's basically the size of the Rock of Brawl. It's actually twice the size of the Rock of Brawl. Is the size of the Spelljammer. And we could. I don't think I would bother breaking that thing down to a 5-foot square map, because that's 15,000 feet worth of ship that I have to build on dozens of layers. It's more project. I mean, they had a whole box set of it being built out. Like, you can get the second edition for it, where it does break it down to the 5-foot scale. It's a whole. This is why TSR went bankrupt, because they built an entire box set of that ship with floor plans. I mean, not every space of it had floor plans, but like all the towers and some of the citadels and stuff that are on it did. But they left the interior of it open to interpretation to become a mega dungeon that spelljamming characters could go inside of and look for jammer tech to equip their ship. And there's like beholder factions inside there and blah 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 blah. Anyway, but this is another example of another of the massive super ships that we could build inside of a 500-foot space. But all that tech is in here. It's all built out, and we can do the same thing with creatures. If we go to the exploration, actually, let's go to the table of contents, and then I'll be done. And then I'm going to go on my Discord. I'll be hanging out there, so folks can jump in my Discord and catch me there if they want. But let's go down to the exploration chapter, objects. So we have object scaling damage, how many hit points they have based on the size of the object, and like light materials like wood, like a craft, like a hollow craft, like the spaceships or creatures are normally considered light objects, and you have compositions like metal mixed with wood. Heavy would be like a block of stone. I'm sorry, hollow is the classification for ships and creatures. But hybrids are like thick skin. Like if you're a 500-foot giant and you're a hybrid, then you're going to be like have a 5 to 10 foot layer of stone chitin that covers your body. So at the 500-foot scale, you'd have 10,000 hit points that would have to be whittled through. But if you're like a solid block of stone, you'd have a 500-foot block of stone has 200,000 hit points. We break down the math here. It says a 200-foot asteroid, hybrid material. Hold on. Okay, here. A 5-foot area of stone is described in the... I'll zoom in. A 5-foot area of stone is described in the Dungeon Master's Guide as having 30 hit points per inch of thickness, which is approximately 2,000 hit points per 5-foot cube. Solid objects like asteroids, moons, and planets increasingly scale hit points based on the size of the object. So you can see here we go from 2,000 feet that we have here at the 5-foot scale to 20,000 to 200,000 to 2 million to 20 million to 200 million to 2 billion to 20 billion, etc., depending on the size. Like at this scale, like this is Earth, right? The planet Earth is 8,000 miles in diameter. It fits into 10,000 miles. It's going to have roughly 20 billion hit points. And if I hit it with the moon that fits inside of 1,000 miles, it has 1/10 the hit point. I could theoretically knock a chunk out of the Earth. Scale of distance, maximum damage. Hollow hybrid solid object deals 10,000 does times 100,000 damage. So 100,000, 100 miles would be 1 million damage. 1,000 miles, which is the moon, would be up to potentially 10 million damage. It'd be basically if I threw the moon at the Earth, it would deal 20d6 times 10 million damage, which isn't enough to destroy the Earth in one hit, but it would be able to do 10 million damage. It'd be 10 million. It'd be 100 million damage. So basically, the Earth could take 200 hits from the moon before it's... No, it'd be... Hold on. Let me map that out. 20d6. It's that's 120 damage, maximum damage, times 10. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 equals 1.2 billion damage that I could deal if I threw the moon at the Earth. 1.2 billion out of 20 billion. So the moon could hit the Earth, but obviously the moon's a lot smaller than the Earth, so it wouldn't utterly obliterate it in one go. But if you pelted a planet with enough moons or moon-sized damaged things, you could shatter a planet. But that's an example of scaling up. So we could have a 500-foot giant that would normally, if it was just a normal creature, it'd have 1,000. But you could say that like it's an elemental creature, so it has a thick skin on it, so it would have effectively 10,000 hit points. And if you have a squadron, like we were talking about earlier on, a squadron of scorpions can do, scorpion ships, if they fire and coordinated, they can do D6 times 100 points of damage, basically 600 hit points of damage in a bite, because they're only little 500-foot crafts with, throwing rocks at things. So it would take forever to knock down this 10,000 hit point giant at the 500-foot scale. It's like a 500-foot tall creature. Throwing some like 5-foot stones at it, it's going to take a while to be able to wreck that guy. Like 500 hit points is going to take 500 times 2 is 1,000, 10,000. It basically takes 20 successful attacks from a squadron of scorpions to be able to potentially drop a 500-foot giant. Meanwhile, that giant is going to swat you for 500-foot scale. It's going to swat you for basically like, say, if it was like a Titanic stone giant, then it would basically be doing like around D8 times 1,000 damage per hit. So, and it's got a 500-foot, it's 500 feet size. So basically, it'd be able to whap things with its hand. Would be able to occupy like a 30-foot space. So when it hits something, it could potentially like bull rush into a squadron of scorpions and obliterate that squadron, because the squadron would be able to sit inside of a 500-foot space as well, but they're only 100 feet each, so the squadron of ships are far less damage capacity than the creature. But that would be a good boss fight for you to have like a squadron of 10 scorpion ships that would potentially be able to take down that giant in probably about 3 or 4 rounds. If you could assemble all the ships, which would be its quest unto itself to get a fleet of, what is that? What did I say? 8 or 10? Like, yeah, 10 some odd scorpions. That'd be 50 scorpions that you'd have to get. That would be like, if we were talking about if we were talking about Eberron, you would have to get like 3 different shogunates to work together to get that amount of ships to fight. It's like, say, a 500-foot awoken dragon, for example. So you can scale with these large-sized creatures using this hit point scaling versus the ships that you have, and they become significant kaiju threats. So now you can have kaiju versus... Anyway, that's the idea behind it. So the scaling damage works pretty good. It's not... If you scale up with... Like, if you count each 5-foot square as 2,000 hit points each, then instead of this 500-foot square being 2,000, ends up being 20 million. And it's ridiculous. So doing this multiplier, this abstract math of just simply working in scales of 10 actually works out pretty well mathematically to be able to have things of smaller scale be threatened by something that's 1 scale or more larger. Like, once it outscales you by 2 degrees, you're insignificant against it. That's like if I threw a goblin against the side of your ship and you've got a 300-foot ship, the goblin's just going to bounce off of it and get killed. And the ship's not going to take any damage because the ship is outscaling its target by more than 2 degrees. And at that scale, you're not dealing damage to the ship anymore. Same thing like if a ship hits the planet Earth isn't going to get destroyed by that, but the ship is, because the ship isn't capable of destroying the planet. But it can tear up the 50-foot space of stone where the ship impacts. So you can scale down a shape into a smaller space. Like if you have a cottage that occupies a 50-foot space and a ship wrecks into it, that ship is going to destroy the cottage because the ship and the cottage are within scale of each other, that they can damage each other. But the ship can't damage the Earth, but it can damage the 50 or even 500-foot space of Earth that it slams into. So you can parse out smaller pieces of it to be able to represent tearing up terrain or excavating area or digging out dungeons. This is the kind of damage capacity you can deal with as far as like excavation is concerned, without taking that into account to the larger structure that you're excavating. Like digging a mega dungeon isn't going to destroy the moon, but it will destroy like the 1 mile area that you're excavating for your facility that will have to take damage. And this is the amount of damage that you're going to have to deal to be able to scrape all that stuff out. So you're going to need months and months or years of excavation to be able to deal that much damage with your forklifts and your bulldozers and your steam, your steam scoopers. Like if we were to send construction teams to the moon to dig out a base, that's the kind of stuff that we'd be dealing with. But these things would be large enough at the 50-foot scale to be able to interact at the 500-foot scale to start laying out a plan to dig out your base in the side of the moon or in the ground of the moon, because you can affect the ground in the local area. Hopefully that makes sense. But that's like really deep into the mechanics of how physics and objects work. That's much deeper than where 5e would ever want to go, because like, why would you need to do that? Well, in this campaign, you can grab an asteroid. You can take a fleet of 50 Scorpion ships, have them all tethered to an asteroid, and tow it together to then release and then lob at a planet and destroy, and like at a base. Like if you wanted to destroy Vokath's base, you could take an asteroid and lob it at it. But if he's in a Spelljammer ship, he'd just be able to shift out of the way and the asteroid would miss. But if you're looking at an asteroid base that's so large that it can't be connected to a Spelljammer helm, you have no control over its movement. Then it's literally just a tracking target that you could hit with an object by basically doing falling damage to it. So you can launch objects at each other that don't have any maneuvering to be able to smash them. Just like you could take an asteroid and drop it from orbit onto a city and hit the city and cause impact damage to that area based on the size of the asteroid that you're dealing with. This is the area. This is how many hit points of damage that structures in that area can take, unless it's a castle, in which case a castle would be a hybrid structure, which has significantly more hit points than like somebody's house would or a creature would have in that area. And then here's the amount of damage that you can deal when you smash those massive size objects into those spaces. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, being able to manipulate stuff like that. Collisions happen. Planets can smash into planets. Just the ability to create a 50-mile tall creature that could pick up and fling things at planets. That's a really cool thing to do that we can explore in a later book. We just provide the basic physics of it here that we can then deep dive into these as examples, build little vignette maps, make little encounter areas like you versus the Star Giant. Here comes a 500-foot Star Giant, and he wants to smash the Spelljammer Academy, for example. The Spelljammer Academy fits, I think, in a 3x3 space at the 500-foot scale. So a 500-foot Star Giant coming in would be able to pummel at and destroy it in a matter of minutes, given the opportunity. So you'd have to have ships defending Spelljammer Academy base from this giant. So that's another thing that we could do. So like, there's no limit to cool things that we could create using these scaling systems together. So anyway, that's where we're at. If you think that stuff is cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, get notifications in the future when we're doing stuff. And happy to see you guys there in the future. So, and that would be another thing I could tear out as a conversation piece to drop on YouTube as a standalone piece. So we're having a good day here. So anyway, I'm done. I'm out of here. I'm going to jump onto my Discord and hang out there. So anyone that wants to catch me there, you can jump into the Discord on the About page. It'll link through for you. So you can click here. And yep, here's the Discord link. It's not hyperlinked for some reason, but it still works. I just updated it yesterday. So that's it, guys. I'm out of here. I'll see you tomorrow. Actually, no, I won't be on tomorrow. I'll be back Monday morning. So I'll see you guys then.